junk drawer. Well, let's hope I did that right, because I forgot to switch screens. What's up, everyone?
Woo-hoo! Hey, what's up, guys?
Nailed it.
Welcome back. We are back with another episode of Dungeons and Dragons and Junk Drawer.
Ding!
We have a wonderful episode lined up for you, and by wonderful we mean horribly awkward. Like when you go to your conservative parents' house for Thanksgiving.
Or
That's
Easter.
exactly what this is going to be like. Or Easter.
2 days ago.
Relevant. But who cares about Easter? It's only about eggs and candy and stuff.
There's a bunny,
Is there?
supposedly.
He was in my front yard. I saw him.
He's dead. No, I'm kidding. Sorry.
No!
Easter Bunny's totally alive.
I'll believe in
we
him
are
too.
going to get started tonight with our announcements. We are going to start with the social media expert himself, Mike Spillane,
Wow. Okay, so expert.
is thrown
Give me
around
more
very
credit than
loosely
it's worth.
now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're all doing it now. So, shout out to Justin for helping me with posts on Twitter. I really appreciate it. But follow us on Twitter at The Junk Drawer Show, at Instagram at The Junk Drawer Show, thejunkdrawershow.com. We'll go ahead and link you to literally everything that we have. It's going to link you to our Instagram, our Twitter, our Twitch, our YouTube, and Carlos's art. And of course, it also, that's pretty much it. My brain farted. I thought there was something else, and it didn't come out. It was more of a shart than a fart. But anywho,
Different character.
yeah, different character, wrong campaign. I'll get vaccinated on Saturday. I'm really excited. Back to you, Pat.
Up next, we will talk to Dice Daddy himself.
Whoa, I'm the daddy. Okay, so
Love me.
Yeah, you are.
gotta love me. All right. I would like to do my regular shout-outs of Mythic Portal Games, Printable Heroes, Kev's Lounge, of course, the incomparable David Hemingway. I have a video editing program. I'm just going to cut every time I shout out David Hemingway, and I'm just going to harass him. Zare Gestures Artist Shop, Kezia Suarez Art, A2 Alley Art, Nikki Artsicle, and most importantly, I would like to shout out Roll20. There were some tweets that went out Roll20 that went ignored, and as we all know, it was Easter, and my dad, John Roll20, and I had a very awkward conversation about his son not being in any Roll20 commercials. So, guys, look at the checks, see who signs them. It says John Roll20.
Of the Roll20s.
Of the Roll20s, the dynasty. All the way from Samson Roll20, know your history. He started a playing card company. No, don't
You
break.
used to have to walk 5 miles to work
5
Uphill.
miles
In
in
the
the
snow.
snow.
in a wheelchair. Do you want that? I don't.
Samson was an American hero.
I don't know how we follow that, but that's not my problem. It's Josh Delgado's.
Hey, what's up? All right, I'm just going to follow it with a bunch of energy. Okay, what's up? Yeah, so my shout-outs this week are to finger braces. Thanks for making it not hurt when I slam my finger into stuff. Yeah, I went snowboarding, and I got too confident, and I fell, and I hurt my finger. So I bought one of these, $3, and now my finger's safe. And you know what? Just thanks modern medicine for allowing me to live, to be my best me, and for all those dick pills. I mean, for all the hair. I mean, ibuprofen. Fuck you, Donovan.
Words are
Back
hard.
to you, Pat.
Oh,
Pat, Josh, I just want to let you know that you started that with serious youth pastor energy.
Oh, that's what I was going for. Yeah.
You know who else played a really critical role?
Samson
it's
Roll20.
Wow. I don't know how we're going to follow that one up, but also not my problem. Carlos, to you.
I don't know how I'm gonna follow that either. So I'm gonna give a shout out. Why not? I'm gonna do it to one of my favorite movies, The Craft, for inspiring my Bruise the Bolt look today. There you go. I don't know how you're gonna follow that. Back to you, Pat.
Can you throw it back to me real quick?
Never mind. Back to you, Justin.
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt. I didn't know if Carlos was going to do it or not, but I wanted to actually shout out Random Encounter Productions for this weekend. They invited Carlos and I to come on to a awesome Battle Royale 2v2 kind of PC player versus PC player for a 3rd anniversary they were holding. And so just wanted to extend that gratitude because Carlos usually shouts them out and I didn't want him to think that we forgot about him. So thank you guys so much for having us.
I do. I didn't want to when you hear the same thing over and over weekly, I kind of want to spice it up. So I'll shout them out every once in a while.
Spice it up with Tapatio.
Oh, there we go.
Son of a bitch.
We're back, baby. Sorry. Back to you, Pat.
All right, cool. Now it's my turn. I will start by, like I always do, by thanking my wife for letting me play Imagination with you guys. I love you. I would also like to shout out my mom. My 30th birthday is on Saturday. She's going to come visit. Thanks for birthing me 30 years ago.
Good job.
Oh,
Love you, Lisa.
You're the best. You'll never watch this. I would also like to shout out. Oh, you know who I should shout out? Hold on. I need to pull up his YouTube name, but he is very helpful in getting myself into character, and I sent Josh a video of his today. This dude is a phenomenal YouTube editor, and you probably already follow him if you're watching us because, why wouldn't you? This dude's got hundreds of thousands of followers. But his YouTube name is Slifer2812. Slyfer 2812. He's got 381,000 subscribers, so you probably know who he is. But he does edits of various movies and whatnot, and it just gets you super duper hyped, and it's amazing and wonderful. So I'd also like to shout him out. Thank you for helping me get into my Thor headspace every week. I appreciate you, Slifer 2812. And I would also like to shout out Craig Brooks. Thank you for being a part of Going For It, introducing me to mainline marketing, and them getting me these awesome headphones, and entering us in the Finest Florida Podcast contest. So
They also
hopefully
gave me this microphone.
They also gave Mike that microphone, and hopefully we are a finalist in their contest. And stay tuned for that. With all of that being said, Dice Daddy, whenever you're ready.
I'm ready now. Okay, so last we were together, we were picking it up from the Falsera adventure, which saw Manu, Tibrin, Thokk, and Alder go to the massive metropolis that was Falsera, entirely elven metropolis, just of full chromes and metals. Something very different and very out of the realm of what we've seen before. So going through, we found Dr. Ashford, who brought you to his lab after blowing up his office in his office building. And essentially, you guys kind of spoke to him and suggested maybe you build a rocket. He accepted on a few different terms, and it is kind of up to you to make sure you make good on those terms, which we ended with Alder needing to go back to his family's manor, to which his father, Aegis, asked him if him and his friends were staying for dinner. Over on the other side, we have Thor and Loki, who saw some shit in Asgard, and we're kind of going through the ramifications of that. And essentially, we're trying to think of someone who could team with Ashford that could bring them to the moon of Nidavellir so they can see Moradin. In doing so, Loki kind of dropped a bomb of Dremel being a real person and being alive. So I think we'll kind of take it from our two Odinson brothers, as the two of you are kind of outside of the palace. And Loki, you've essentially dropped this bomb of Dremel wasn't possibly something that you made up. There might be some details. And Thor, you just learning this information.
You're going to have to get really cool with a bunch of stuff.
What do you mean, really cool with a bunch of stuff?
And I grab the bottle from the side of my body, and I say, maybe Dremel can help us.
You were Dremel. That was you the whole time.
Yes. The Dremel you know was me the entire time. Dremel with 2 L's. This is Dremel with 1 L. He's a real person. He's inside of here. Well, he's inside of here, inside of another thing, inside of here. It's layers. Like an ogre.
Oh, like a cake?
No, like, yes, like a cake.
Cakes have layers, so
Yes, I know. And then I cast Mage Hand on my shoulder just to have someone to talk to and say he's not gonna get it. I'm just no, yes, cakes have layers, but they're not. It's not like the top down you can see the whole thing. Yeah, yes, like a cake.
what did you do to that Dremel? Why is he in liquid form?
Oh no, he's not in liquid form. He's fully solid. He's in what a scholar might call a stasis, and he's inside of a town that is in what a scholar might also call a stasis. So they are not experiencing time in the same way that we do, in the sense that they are not experiencing time. So, it is conceivable that he is still very angry. If he even remembers or knows that it was me, a lot of my backstory was real for him, and I just modified it to make sense for me and, to make you like me because we're brothers and you didn't know that it was me and I wanted you to like me. And I'm just going to keep rambling until you talk because I know you're going to get mad at me now.
Yeah, I'm quite mad with you, but also realize that we need answers, and I can pick up a fight with you at a later date, and just kind of put this one away. Just kind of remember.
Yes, this feels like home. You being mad at me. This is what we've been missing. It's been almost 1,000 years, and now you get to be mad at me again. Isn't it fantastic?
It's such a good feeling, brother. Do you really think he could help Ashford in whatever he would need assistance with? Is he really the big brain boy on the top of the mountain?
That I did take from him, yes. He was, in fact, the big brain boy on the mountain. The short conversation that I had with, what's his name? Not Iron Man. Ashford. The quick conversation that I had with Ashford gave me a lot of Dremel flashbacks. So they seem to be on similar levels. He doesn't deal with materials quite as much. He handles more potions, chemicals, fuel.
He's an alchemist.
You could call it that. Alchemist, chemist, something like that.
What can we offer him to incentivize him to help us?
And when you say that, Loki's eyes light up because we have the best incentive of all. He's in the bottle.
How? How is he in the bottle? What did you do?
I did magic, brother. The thing I always do. I did magic and I got what I wanted. And now we're here. And because I did this, we're going to be able to save the world. We're going to get to the moon thanks to my magic. So
if he hits you, I'm going to let him.
That's fair.
Because you honestly deserve it.
Yes. But as soon as he does it, I'm going to say, yes, harder, daddy. And then we'll see what he does. Because I'm going to turn it around.
Hit you.
Yeah, I'm going to really like it.
Good brothers. That's weird.
I know what I said.
So, the two of you are going through the hearth of the stronghold in Valoria through the fireplace, and it seems that it's been a few hours, obviously, since you've been gone. It's more later into the evening that I didn't describe in prior sessions, but you were gone for at least, I would say, a good 8 to 9 hours on both of your kind of journeys. So things are fairly quiet. There seems to be 5 place settings that are set out for your half and for the other half for when they return. And kind of at the far end of the table with her head down, you do see a mess of kind of black dreads pulled back as Valdana's full head is just kind of down, and you hear very light snoring.
As we start to walk up, I'm just going to lean over to Thor and just say, hey, keep the bottle between us. Just keep it between us for now.
Fine. And we can hear her snoring, right?
Go ahead and roll a perception check for me.
8.
Also 8.
You both
Gross.
don't know if she's snoring or maybe she's asthmatic and she's just breathing hard. There isn't a wheeze, but you don't know, you're not close enough, and you don't know what a wheeze sounds like.
I'm going to tell Loki, go like a couple of feet that way, and I'll just gesture over to my left.
Why?
Just do it.
Okay. Pitter patter, pitter patter, pitter patter.
Okay.
And then
go-
I make sure that there's nothing I can damage anywhere, like in my vicinity, anywhere within 5 feet.
Mhm.
And then I thunderclap.
Okay, so before you get there, let's see if you don't wake her up. So do a group stealth check there.
Ah, fuck.
Yeah.
That's not good.
No, it's not.
And it's a disadvantage. Cool.
Oh, I get
Oh,
advantage.
it's worse. I get disadvantage.
Oh, it was worse.
9.
Okay, 9.
7.
Yeah. Perfect.
Oh, 8,
So
sorry.
that-
The Odinsons.
Odinson's.
Gong,
Whoops.
gong, gong.
Uh-oh. Start thinking of a catchphrase so then we can start putting it in the campaign.
This guy.
This guy, both of us. So both of you start going around, and that's when you two start bickering like you normally do, where Thor's like, just go on the other end. And Loki's like, I don't want to go on the other end. You go on the left end. I want to go on the right. And it's eventually the snoring and the breathing stops, and you just kind of see an eye poke up from the table as you see one kind of golden eye looking at both of you. Just kind of darting back and forth.
You fucking ruined it.
You
I was
ruined it
gonna-
with your loud ass
You ruined
feet.
it. No.
I heard you from the
ruined
other
it.
side of
If
the
you
room
should've
going, "Guh,
listened
guh,
to
guh."
what I wanted to do,
That's your
you
sound.
would've
That's
been
how
on the
your
other side of
feet
the room
are.
and it
My
would've
feet are
been
like
fine.
da da da.
No.
Because I'm elegant.
Are you too hungry, or are you
Yes.
just going to keep arguing?
Both.
You have some drool, like, just kind of, it's dried.
No, I
but
don't.
It's there. Yeah. No, oh, you got it.
Yeah, well, you two were gone for quite some time, and Alder and Thokk haven't been back yet.
Oh, they're
So-
not going to be back tonight.
Oh. Why is that?
They're talking to a crazy doctor person guy.
Brr, I can only use the spell once a day. Brr.
I don't know that. Maybe I do.
Yes, you do. You do.
But I'm just going to be like, they're talking to a crazy scientist guy.
And Valdana goes, all right. Oh, did you guys find what you were looking for in Asgard?
Oh,
And I just kind of turn and look at Loki.
we found things. You know what? Yes, we found exactly what we were looking for. And Thor, you want to take it from here? Ah, I am parched. Could I get a drink from anywhere? Minor illusion, a fake drink in my hand, and just start drinking for the entire duration of Thor talking.
Okay. And it's like this big flowery cocktail with like umbrellas. It's like a hurricane, so it's like half pina colada and half strawberry daiquiri. Delicious. Now I want a hurricane. And you're just like,
That's not real. You made that with your magicness.
roll a
Magic is real.
performance to see how good you drink.
17.
Yeah, it looks pretty convincing. If you were like really looking at him, you'd be like, where'd that guy get that frozen beverage? And where can I also get one?
I know that's not real. I'm just standing. I just...
But you wish it was.
I can't hear you. My mouth is full.
Well, Loki didn't go to Asgard. He went to Jotunheim. So he has actually no idea how everything is on Asgard. And everything on Asgard's terrible. The Destroyer is ruining the city and breaking everything down. And he shot at me like 3, 4, 10 times, something like that.
Can't even count.
What's the
Shut up,
destroyer?
drink your drink. He's a big guardian of Asgard. My father had him. Our father had him created to be a protector, and Loki used to use him to beat up little kids.
Boldana kind of like looks over at you, Loki.
To be fair, I was also a little kid. It was even.
Except you had the Destroyer.
I can't decide who has what tools at the disposal. I used what I had. As did they. Sticks. Back to drinking.
Spoken like a true sociopath.
You're a sociopath.
No, I'm not. I'm gonna tell Mom.
Oh, no.
Fuck.
So, focus. What exactly is going on in Asgard? The destroyer. Are there at least people there trying to stop the destroyer? Or no people?
No. Asgard looks to have meant. All of the people of Asgard look like they're underground and in hiding. The Destroyer kind of looks like a lion in a cage. It's just there destroying until whoever's controlling it puts it where they want it to be. And I have a sneaking suspicion that's going to be in Valoria, which I'm hoping that this suspicion is wrong.
It's not.
So now we have to worry about fire giants, the destroyer, and the man in crimson.
We have to worry about so much more than that. That is small potatoes compared to what is actually coming on the horizon.
Loki casts Minor Illusion into Thor's ear to say, hey, do we really want to tell her about that right now? Is she ready?
I literally can't do anything.
Oh, no.
So,
No response. I just want to put that thought in your
Yeah.
head.
correct. And Thor will kind of look at Val and be like, I want to tell you, but I'm not sure we have enough information yet. Once I've done a little more research, and by I mean people that are smarter than me, we'll give you all of the details. I just need you to trust me in the meantime.
I trust you. Just, did you see Talos?
No. And Helm can't see him, so he doesn't know where he is.
All right.
It was a very emotional trip home by myself.
Well, sorry you had to go through that. I'm sure it wasn't easy seeing your home like that. And she just kind of like sighs and just says, "I'm sorry. I wish I had something I could offer to make you feel better."
You could make this drink real. I mean, you could get me a second drink. That would help us.
And she kind of looks and she goes, "Yeah, no, yeah, I can do that. I don't know if it'll be exactly like that, but I'm sure we're gonna need a lot of alcohol. Yeah, I'll be back.
Yes, perfect.
And you see Valdana, and she kind of pulls her chair out, and she's wearing her Under Armour essentially. And you do know that usually when she's in her Under Armour, her armor isn't very far behind. So she kind of gets up and a little stiff from sitting in a very awkward position all evening, but she eventually does leave, leaving the two of you in the mess hall there.
As soon as she is out of ear range, I turn to Thor and I say, "We have to be careful with who we tell."
I didn't have any intention of telling her, but she needs to know that wherever we go, we're in danger.
I think she's figured out the danger part.
Yeah, but she thinks that it's isolated to Valoria, and it's not. This is a global problem.
You're right.
This is a planar problem. They're gonna jump from plane to plane and just ruin anyone that's alive.
The more I think about it, the more lost I feel.
Brother, we're the only ones that know, us and Helm, but he's a shell of himself. He's not quite the Helm that we knew growing up.
Yes, and it will be up to us. We can't we can't let others panic. If we play our hand too soon, I don't know. Not many people have the resolve of a god like we do.
Well, I mean, when you've lived how many lifetimes now?
I mean, you skipped 9 of them. So whatever number you were going to say, take 9 off. So I guess I'm older than you now.
You're not. I was still alive. I didn't die.
Yeah, but like, you weren't around.
Regardless, it's going to be a delicate situation, and how are we going to handle this with Manu and Thokk?
Thokk, we tell nothing. Now, I've been saying this for weeks now. Thokk is a fantastic person, orc, warrior, but he has this monkey on his back. Ever since we saw Monutep on the ship, there's no way we can fully trust Thokk. It's not even Thokk, it's Monu, the spirit that follows him. But why can we even see him now? There's so many things that happen that don't make sense. And
could he be getting stronger? Do you think the opposite side could be?
A mirror.
And that's just kind of, it's, yeah, exactly. He's getting stronger. So Monu, the Monu that we know, is also getting stronger and more real. He can wander. He can walk through walls, and he's different now than he was.
DM, would I know of anything in history that is similar to that? Quantum entanglement type?
Go ahead and roll a history check.
Kinked. 23.
23. So, you know, in the past couple of centuries, there have been things as far as possessions and minor kind of like hauntings. This seems like a haunting. However, hauntings and things of that nature have gone out of style as soon as the Raven Queen became leader of the Shadowfell. Almost, that's why you never see any undead, is because the Raven Queen had been keeping that in check, because dead stays dead.
And we know that the Raven Queen is not, right? Because she's not been around.
She's currently not doing so hot. You would know that she has her own thing in the Shadowfell. You guys have usually never been welcome to the Shadowfell, just mostly because of different kind of, hierarchies and whatnot in there. But most channels from the Shadowfell have gone dead, so to speak. Pun intended.
I've heard of hauntings. I'd seen many of them until the Raven Queen took over and dead stayed dead, you know. But this
No, I
definitely
have no idea who that is.
you don't you know the Raven Queen. No, we don't even know him by name.
He wasn't around for the Raven Queen. If anything, the equivalent would be Death's girlfriend.
Oh, okay. You remember Death?
Yeah,
Girlfriend.
got it.
Yeah. So when she
took over.
She took over.
Okay.
Yeah, she took over for a while, and she wasn't about the hauntings. So dead stayed dead. But that brings up an interesting point that hauntings have happened again. I've not seen any sort of quantum entanglement before, so I can't say that. It's when two things in separate places are connected.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So
God, I wish.
hold on.
Go ahead.
Hold on. If they're connected, and Monutep knows where Thokk is because of Monu, there's gotta be a way that Thokk can see where Monutep is without having to like scry, or wouldn't that
Yes.
door open both ways?
Yes, I imagine it would. But Thokk would have to know how to do it. Perhaps he needs
Isn't
some
that
sort
something
of...
we could use to our advantage?
If Thokk can learn how to reverse the focus, yes. I'd imagine so. Some sort of... I mean, it would be scrying. It would still be scrying. Just not... I mean, maybe Manu being the
With the
focus.
spell, with the ability, with...
But how do we even bring that up without him knowing?
Well, we do know, correct me if I'm wrong, DM.
Sure.
We do know that Monutep is aware of where Thokk is currently.
Without giving too much information, yes. Currently, he does know where Thokk is now.
And we are aware of that.
He
'Cause I
knows
believe
that Thokk is in
told
Valor.
us. Yes, I believe Thokk told us that Monutep knows Thokk is in Valoria.
Yes.
Okay. See. I mean, we can always kind of frame it because we know Monutep knows that Thokk is in or was in Valoria. We don't know where he is, so maybe we just kind of empower him to see where he is. It would be advantageous to us, even if we didn't have the impending doom of all known humanity on our heads, but
Perhaps Manu and Monotep don't speak Celestial. Maybe we could use that. Catch him off guard. I mean, Thokk doesn't either, but there's workarounds for that.
it's fair. Just an idea. I mean, something we can workshop while him and Alder are still in Falsera. So, just things to think about tonight.
And as you two are kind of talking, Valdana comes out with 3 glasses. She has like 2 or 3 bottles of different kind of liquors under her arms, and she's like, what are we thinking about? Sorry, I couldn't find ice or syrup or fruit of any kind. I mean, kind of scarce at the moment, but I did find booze.
Loki reaches his palm out and does a little grabbing motion to cast Mage Hand, sends it out toward Valdana, and helps her carry at least a bottle.
Okay. And so the 3 of you kind of sit down, and she starts popping bottles. And as we're popping bottles,
Pop, pop.
let's go all the way to Falsera right now. Things are tense. So transition. So let's talk a little bit about the Alarius mansion. Essentially, it is a kind of like a 3-story, very large dwelling. Several different rooms. This thing is massive, and it's completely made of this steel. Going inside, everything is very. You would expect it to be very sterile, considering how the outside is, but everything is very warm inside. There are a lot of rich woods and marbles, and the entire floor is just inlaid with this marble jade. And as we know, we saw a very brief glimpse of Alder's father, Aegis, who is he looks to be in maybe his very late 30s. Very handsome looking man, platinum blonde hair where you see where Alder gets it with green tips at the ends. And he has this very almost Victorian kind of, the only way I could describe it is like Dracula cape collar, but it's essentially inlaid with different metals and
Pretentious.
golds.
That's what you're looking at. Pretentious.
Yes, it's very pretentious. And when he speaks very direct, but he's very odd and very classic elf. He doesn't even blink. He just lowers his eyes or he'll narrow his eyes. He has no reason to blink.
He's very stoic, if you will.
Stoic. So he did ask if you were coming to dinner, which, if I remember correctly, Alder said yes. So the four of you were eventually ushered into, which you would understand, Alder, as your family's like waiting or guest room. It's like this, it's essentially like, think of like a living room. It's full of just different kind of artworks. There's a hearth of magical fire going off, very large chairs that even like when Thokk sits in them, they're pretty big. And it says money, baby, as they're getting ready for dinner. And Manu's just kind of to the side by one of the fireplaces, and Thokk and you and Tibrin are just kind of like looking at how huge this fucking place is.
I look over at Tibber and I'm like, don't think about it.
But it'd be so easy.
I know. It's tempting, but it's Alder's family. Don't think about it.
And then I'm just going to kind of pop up behind them and be like, you'd be surprised the security that they have here.
You'd be surprised how fast Tiberin's fingers are.
And then I'm going to reach into Tibrin's pocket and take something that he already swiped.
So go ahead and roll a sleight of hand check against his sleight of hand check to see if you even in the right pocket.
What
21.
21. I was not expecting to have Tibrin's character sheet out. Give me 1 second.
9,000.
So sorry. Weird.
Do I notice
Tibrin has a
Alder?
plus 30 to sleight of hand.
He does. He's got sneaky fingers. What was that, Thokk?
Do I notice Alder trying to like pickpocket Tibrin?
Go ahead and roll a perception check, and then if Alder's trying to be sneaky, he would have to roll a stealth check, but I doubt it because he's reaching into the pocket.
Pocket pool.
Let's see here. So go ahead and give me that perception check.
I see it.
17.
17. Okay. So you kind of see like both of their hands fumbling, and Alder, you grab in and you feel an empty pocket, and Tibrin looks at you, and it's kind of like, while you're looking at this hand, you weren't looking at this hand, and he goes, "You're kind of just grabbing me," which is really inappropriate in front of my boyfriend. And he has like this very polished like jade orb that belongs on like the mantle when you first go in. It's something that your mom got like 1,000,000 years ago, and you've passed it 1,000,000 times, but it's like the size of like an orange.
And then I'm just going to go ahead and take my hand out of the pocket and grab it.
And he just kind of smiles and he goes, "All right."
I mean, you have plenty of green balls to play with. You're fine.
I do, but I wanted a green ball for you.
I have plenty of green balls to play with.
You do.
Plenty?
Amanu's like,
You should get that checked.
Well, you said you're 3/4 orc, so does that mean you have 3/4 more balls?
Okay, we'll get into the logistics.
We can have this
Not
conversation in front of your
physical.
parents if you want.
Rather not. Rather not.
Mom,
I already
Mom,
ate
I learned about
everything.
orc balls today.
My
Also
favorite
good.
episode of the Junk Drawer Show is where they talk about balls.
Green
I hope
ones.
the surgery's going well, Billy. Yeah, I hope so too. Uh, so you guys are in this kind of like holding area, and Manu just seems like really uncomfortable around money. So he's visibly uncomfortable. You guys are kind of like positioned in these weird chairs, and it's about 20 or 30 minutes or so before one of the servants comes out. You recognize this very older looking elf. Most of the servants are in where your father and you and your mother were mostly in like whites with inlaid golds. The servants could be easily identified by, they usually wore like very handsome gray paisley kind of uniforms. And you see an older elf that you recognize as Kata, who is a male elf, has this kind of very straight black hair, and you see a very like small smile on his face, and he goes, "It is very nice to have you back, Mr. Alder. We've been missing you here."
And then, kind of like breaking Elven rank a little bit. Did I have a close relationship with Kata?
I would say that you had a warm relationship with most, if not all, of the staff. Like you and your mother treated them; they were an extension of your family, as opposed to your father, where it was like, "No, that's the help. Stop doing that now. You didn't have to give him a Christmas present. It's fine."
Gotcha. Then in that case, I'll walk up and give him a hug and be like, "It's good to see you."
And he gives you a small hug back, and he goes, "We wish you would have given us a little bit more notice. I would have prepared your room. Not that it has not been touched since you've left, but did not realize you were bringing company, sir."
Yeah. If I'm being frank, I didn't want today to be the day that we came back, but there's a lot of things going on outside of Falsera right now that are bigger than I think we realize, and frankly, I need help. So,
Wow. Let's be sure that we mind ourselves. And he kind of narrows his eyes at you, Alder, because he knows about your prickly relationship with your father. Let's just be as courteous as we can. We know how standoffish Aegis can get. And he kind of just grabs your arms and squeezes very lightly. He's just like, "We're gonna have a very nice, quiet evening."
that's the hope.
That is the hope. We are making your favorite, which is the acorn noodles with the baked hazelnut celtis, the water spinach, and the sweet potatoes and cantaloupes, of course, served with
Lovely.
the arakash pie. And we, of course, have non-fruit and vegetable options, but as we know, Alder is very much like his grandfather. So please, if you would. And he kind of gestures open the door to have you follow him. And
Absolutely. Come on.
Manu's like, "Oh my god, he has a favorite fucking meal. What was that?" I knew it was acorns. So
Not pine cones, you asshole.
it was acorns the whole time. So Alder, you kind of are leading this pack, and Thokk, you are seeing more of this just incredibly immaculate house. Thinking that he had one servant, you see another servant that's making sure that the banisters are all polished. You see another servant who is dusting and making sure there's no dust anywhere. It's almost like they're fucking breeding, like they're cats. You see just more, one after the other, one after the other. And eventually you're brought to this massive grand dining hall. And there are currently several places set. There are 5 for you. One you would assume for Aegis, his father, one for his mother, and you see 2 extra place settings that have been set.
Okay.
Cool. Tight. Cool. Yep. And then I'm just like, kind of just sitting here, just like, all right. Yeah,
This
this was
cozy.
coming. Yeah.
And
Yeah, no, totally cozy.
Tipper just kind of like scoots up, and so the order is you're right next to where your father sits and across from your mother. There is a space between because there are kind of like place cards. So there's a card directly next to you and I will spell it for you. The name Dro, which is Drough, in this very beautiful calligraphy that you recognize as Hamir's handwriting. And so next to Dro, we have Tibrin. Sitting across from Tibrin is Thokk. Thokk, to your right, you see that there is another very pretty calligraphied name, and it is, I will spell it as well, Luz, which is Luz. And then next to you, of course, Thokk, is a place setting for Manu, you would assume.
And then who's sitting next to Tibrin across from Luz?
No one is sitting to the right of Tibrin.
Okay.
Which
to the right.
Head of the table. So think of it at the head of the table. Head of the table is going to be Aegis, and then everyone else is on the other sides of it.
Where's Alder sitting?
Alder's right next to Aegis.
Can we have a battle map, please?
Would you like me to make a? I can make like a little quick
No,
diagram.
I'm just kidding.
No, I got
you're
it.
good.
You got it? Okay. I'll do it. I
I'm
got to
just
know
being that guy. I'm just being that guy.
I'm
I
giving
would like
out
to cast
citation.
Food Fight at 7th level.
No. So slowly, there are different platters, different servings of just silver platters that have these domes on top of them that are slowly being kind of placed in front of you, and every servant that comes by greets you, Alder. Everyone's warm. Everyone is so happy to see you. And Thokk, you see Tibrin, and Tibrin's kind of like looking at you like, okay, they really like him, I guess. And you guys kind of have that look about yourselves. And Manu's just kind of standing there, like leaning forward, trying to figure out what he's going to say because he doesn't eat. And first person that does arrive, Alder, you do recognize is your mother. Alder's mother is, I have to make sure I have her description. So many things.
Sorry.
It's okay. You see Solana. Solana is shorter than Alder. She is, I would say, maybe 5'8", 5'9", very slender build. More of that silvery hair. There are no green tips at the ends. Has these kind of very pale blue eyes, and she looks like she is in mid to late 20s. She looks very like young, almost like Alder's age, as you see this very big grin come across her face, and she immediately just embraces you, Alder. Like, you don't even get up. Like, you're immediately just in this mom hug, and she still smells like her. Like, she still wears the same perfume. Like, it seems like there's been no time that's passed since you've left, despite it being 100 years, and still warm. And you just kind of put your hand on her forearm as she kind of kisses the top of your head, kisses the crown of your head, and she's, muttering in Elvish and calling you pet names, and just incredibly happy to see you.
And my eyes kind of start to well up a little bit, and it's great to see you as well, Mother.
And she smiles. So sorry. And she looks at all of you, and you see her eyes are slightly puffy as she kind of wipes away, and she goes, my name is Solana. Thank you so much for coming to my home and looking after my son, Alder. And she kind of looks at all of you as you introduce yourself. Tibrin kind of just goes, hi, Tibrin, that's Thokk and Manu. And you just kind of see Manu wave very quietly before back to neutral position.
And I'll be like, there's a lot that I need to fill you in on here. I'm very, very apologetic over the fact that this is so last minute. I would have rather not been a surprise to be back here and spring our visit on you like this, Mother. I apologize.
And she immediately smiles, takes her hands, and goes, "This is a wonderful surprise, and I am so grateful you could be here."
Well, in that case, before Dad gets back, so me and Thokk are friends from prison.
Let's rip this band-aid off.
I mean, you're not
Just gonna
wrong.
be completely honest, me and Thokk are friends from prison. His boyfriend is Tibrin, and Manu's a ghost. So how have you been?
Is that why you were on the boat?
So you were the one watching me.
I haven't seen you for 100 years. I've been checking in on you very periodically.
I know, but ever since I sent Aya over here, it seems like it's been a lot more frequent, and I've felt it kind of coming on each time. How is Aya, by the way?
Aya is very good. She's been stretching her wings all along Falsera.
Good. Good. I'll have to see her after dinner. So yeah, I mean, I know you probably knew a lot of that stuff, but I figured easy to just kind of rip the band-aid off, get it out of the way, and move on from there. I don't know how much you've told Father, so
I have told him very little, just that you are happy and you are healthy, which is mostly true.
mostly, yeah. So we'll keep the prison part out of it for sure.
And she smiles and she goes, "You got a haircut."
Yeah, it well, I mean, felt needed. Not really having too much regret about it. I mean, you know how it is. I'll be back in no time.
And she smiles. Yes, your hair does grow back very quickly. And it's at this moment you kind of hear kind of footsteps very far off on the hallway. Slow, taking its time. And your mother kind of looks at you and goes, I am assuming you are wondering who the other two guests are. Very long story. But they are family. I will rip my own band-aid. They are your younger brothers. And they are very excited to meet you.
So, how young are we talking?
They will be in their hundreds within the next few years.
Okay, so they're still like not quite teenagers yet, basically, or about teenagers.
They're like, think of them as like really early, like they're 21, 22. Like they're out of teenage years, but their brains haven't fully developed yet.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I guess then this will be very interesting. Now knowing that I have brothers, what do they know about me? And do they have a different idea of me from you and a different idea of me from Father?
We have always been very transparent about you, Alder. And they have had their own conclusions. And as I've said, very excited to see you.
And then I'm just going to be kind of like get up and just kind of like stretch and this is going to be interesting.
So as you're kind of like stretching and like, you see a young man. He seems to be, his skin is fairly paler. He has a scarf that's around his face, just like a white scarf. You see him like kind of pull it down as he comes in. He has very long, almost platinum white hair that's kind of pulled back. And his eyes are of a kind of like, I would say like gray, murky steel kind of color. The very big discernible thing about him is he has two kind of almost like deer or antler horns that don't really branch out. They kind of go up and curve up. As you kind of see this more meek man come in, and he looks over and he goes, "Oh, hi. I'm sorry. Was I late? Was I supposed to be here earlier? I'm sorry." And he's looking immediately at Solana, and Solana's like, "No, Luz, it's okay. This is Alder, and these are his friends, and Luz kind of looks at all of you and he goes, "Hello, so lovely to have you in our home." And Solana kind of goes, "He's a little shy."
And then I'll just kind of walk up and I'll be like, well, thank you for keeping the home kept together for me, brother.
And he kind of smiles and he goes, "It's very nice to meet you, Alder." And he awkwardly like puts hands, hands, not sure what to do. He doesn't know what to do with his hands.
Felt like I was on a spaceship. And he looks confused and I'll just be like, hey, brother's got a hug. And then I'll just kind of pull him in.
And you pull him in and his body tenses, and eventually as you kind of pat, he relaxes and pats back, and he kind of goes around to the other end where Solana's seat is, and she goes, "Where's your brother?" And Luz goes, "Oh, he was in the garden. He was fiddling with his botanical. You know how he gets when he's doing that. He gets very focused. But I did tell him that we were having dinner very soon, so hopefully he comes out. I can go get him again." And Solana goes, "I'm sure he'll come in. He's always hungry." And a few more moments pass, and you see your father, once again, very handsome man, in different gear, like in garb, like he changed, like he's wearing, like, this is my dining clothes, as opposed to this was my lounging clothes. So he's wearing a very, like, handsome one-piece, like, suit with, think like Severus Snape's cloak almost, like, but a lot fancier and less dingy. And he sits, the fucking chair is pulled out for him as he kind of sits down, and almost sits down with a grace. He doesn't plop down. And he goes, "I don't see Dro. Is he going to be late for dinner?" And Lou goes, I can get him. It's fine. I can get." And he just kind of puts his hand out, and Lou's immediately just stops talking and looks over at you, Alder, and your friends, and he goes, "When I was told you were in town, I was quite surprised."
Good to see you as well, Father. I wasn't expecting to be in town as soon as I was either. What surprised you?
And he kind of looks, and even though I'm making faces, he is not. He goes, "I wasn't saying it was an unpleasant surprise, just a surprise. And I find it very interesting that you had gone to the company of Ashford and dropped the family name there. Of course, I was notified of your arrival. And it seems after I was informed, there was an explosion in the building, which seems to be shades of something you would normally do."
So, funny thing about that. First thing is, I dropped the family name because I'm in a situation where I needed to speak with Dr. Ashford, and I will gladly explain all of that momentarily, because I could tell you right now that what's going on is much bigger than our family, Falsera, and the business. But I can tell you that we had absolutely nothing to do with the explosion. That was merely awful timing. And I don't know if you believe me on that, but it's the truth.
He looks at you and he goes, "If you say it's true." And he just nods and leaves it at that, as Luz is like, "Oh, what's that? Oh, Joe's calling me from the garden.
Asshole.
I'll be right back. I'm gonna go get him." And as Dro kind of stands up, or Luz kind of stands up, you hear a door kind of close, and there is another elven gentleman very similar to Luz in age. They have very similar features, but where Luz is very pale and almost like a grayish, brackish tint to him, he has more of a greenish tint. Kind
You
of
mean
comes
Dro?
in. What's that?
I said you mean Dro.
Dro, sorry. Fuck.
I know.
They're so
I'm
similar.
sorry.
It's okay. Dro kind of comes in. He has these greener eyes, and as opposed to Luz, who has these two horns that kind of jut up, he has these very wide, almost like proud buck deer antlers. As he kind of has this wooden and metal inlaid staff that he kind of sets to the side. His hands are filthy, and he kind of like looks out, and one of the servants kind of comes up with water, and you see him, and he kind of washes his hands. He's like, "Oh, sorry, I'm late. Oh man, that smells great. Smells good, Dad." And he kind of takes notice immediately of the guests at the table, and he goes, "Oh, we have company." And Solana goes, "Joe, I told you that your brother Alder is here. He was visiting us." And he goes, "Oh yeah, Alder." And he kind of comes up to you, immediately puts his hand out. He goes, "How's you going?"
Good. And I'll push his hand away and I'll give him a hug as well.
And he also is kind of taken aback, where he's not awkwardly tense. He just kind of tenses very briefly and pats you as well. And it's warm, kind of like, yeah, okay, we're buddies. And he immediately sits next to you, and he goes, "Well, I am super hungry. I hope that I'm very excited to see what we have cooked up for dinner." Yeah.
Well, it should be my favorite, so.
And Solana goes, "Yes, we have several options. We of course, have Alder's favorite, but we also have it's essentially a roasted boar with charred turnips, red wine, and a rice risotto that is essentially of elderberry, peach, and rhubarb. And then for dessert, we have raspberry pie. So please stay for dessert. Please. The back kitchen has been making it all day, and I'm sure it's going to be delightful."
Very excited for it, Mother.
Just sitting back and people watching,
Yeah.
being observant, can I tell who is genuinely happy for Alder to be there and who is not thrilled about his presence?
Sure. Go ahead, and I'm going to have you roll 4 insight checks.
Okay.
One for each
Can't wait
person.
to see what the DC on Aegis is.
A million.
I'll roll 1 on Roll20 and the other 3 on dice.
Okay. Whatever you want.
So 19 on one of them. Do you want me to just give them to you in order?
So 19, I will say, is for Aegis.
Okay.
So move on to Solana.
2.
2. Okay. 3 is
Oh, no,
for
wait.
Luz.
12, sorry. 2 plus
12. Okay. 3 is for Luz.
18.
18. And then last is Dro.
Natural 20 for 30.
Okay. So with Aegis is incredibly hard to read. If anything that you pull from him, he seems intrigued, which you don't know if is a good thing or a bad thing.
Okay.
Solana is not hiding her joy that Alder is home. She is incredibly happy that she's home. She is beaming. Luz he seems very shy. When he was hugged, there was a genuine moment of realization, like, oh, like, you don't know exactly what his relationship is with others, but it seemed like he was taken aback by a hug. And then Dro also seems, I wouldn't say he's intrigued, he's more amused, because whenever he's interacting with Alder, he immediately looks over at Aegis, and then immediately looks back over at Alder.
Okay. So do I get the sense that, like, Luce is more of a mama's boy and Dro is more of a daddy's boy? Like, they're similar to whichever one I mentioned?
I would say Go ahead and roll another perception check for me, just in general on the brothers.
That was cocked. 15 plus 10, 25.
They look a lot like Aegis. There are no discernible features of Solana.
Got it. All right.
So,
Would you say
Dinner-
that I picked up on that as well?
you can roll a perception check for it, but I will be frank, it will be slightly higher because you're not actively looking for it.
24.
Okay. So, unfortunately, I mean, you see minor differences, but you just missed it. It was 25.
Fuck.
So you kind of look and you do see like the way Dro talks occasionally. Like he'll furrow his brow and you're like, oh, seen that look from Dad. Occasionally Luz will kind of quietly talk over to Solana and you'll see like this kind of way he twitches his nose and you're like, okay, I've seen Dad do that. Like just little things that you pick up on their behavior and how they kind of interact.
Gotcha. Okay.
So while this tense dinner's going on, let's go back to the party bus. The other brothers.
I'm so drunk right now. I don't even know.
This
I'm
isn't
a little
even
buzzed,
Kettle
yeah.
1. This is Kettle 13.
You're not here.
We don't care about you. We're not gonna hug, even though we're brothers.
Yeah, we're not gonna hug because we're too drunk.
Did you guys ever wonder why you guys talk out loud a lot about your real emotions, but wanting to really do what you're like talking about?
No.
Those were a lot of words that I'm not ready to hear right now, so I didn't hear them.
I'm actually not drunk, so.
Yeah, I'm not drunk either. Why were we pretending?
I don't know.
Okay, great.
It was a weird thing that we did there.
Yeah.
And immediately Vondana's like, I hate this bit right now. I hate this.
And Loki
Sorry,
puts out
we
a
won't do it
fist
again.
to do a fist bump with Thor.
No, I don't.
All right, then he flicks him off.
And then he fist bumps him.
All right, there we go.
We did. It.
I guess we are a little drunk then.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
Valdonna, do you know where the Library of Knowledge is? The big one where
The Grand Library.
that one, the one that he just said. Do you know where that would be located?
I'd like to read a book.
Oh, you mean the Library of Ioun?
Yeah, that I'm sure that one.
Yes, the one with books.
And she looks over at you and goes, a lot of libraries have books.
I mean, I would argue most libraries have books.
All libraries have books, unless
Yeah,
it's like...
let's go with that one.
Challenge accepted. I'll find a library without a book then, and you'll be wrong, and you'll owe me something.
Loki, it doesn't count if you build a library and don't put books in it.
Don't give away my secret. And
He's a little more drunk than I had
he
anticipated.
puts away his component pouch.
Let's see how drunk you guys are. So both of you make con saves for me.
Oh, all right.
Alrighty. 21.
11.
Okay.
My dice
Thor,
are
you're a little-
betraying me this evening.
You're a little warmer than you anticipated. It's been quite some time since you've actually drank. So get into your head a little bit. Loki, you get the tingly sensation in the back of your head, but nothing to the extent of being tipsy. So I will say any kind of like future, I'm drunk, nah, give me my keys. Give me like a performance check for it. So we'll see how good you are at it.
Okay.
So do you know where the Library of Ioun is, or you don't know where it is, or you know someone who knows where it is?
She kind of looks and she goes, well, it's kind of complicated. I mean, I don't know if you'll get in.
What do you mean? We're gods. How could they not allow two gods to walk into the Library of Ioun?
I mean, you're more than welcome to certainly try, but Anya hasn't been able to get in. Finn hadn't been able to get in.
What's the prerequisite to get in? Do you need like Some kind of crazy library card?
I don't know if so the only thing that I know of, because I've never been, one person was in, and that person happened to be a Kenku. So it's not like we could have gotten a lot of information out of him.
Okay. Where is it? That was question number one.
And she kind of thinks and goes, I mean, it's most likely closer to the Rust Marsh, which is at least week 2's travel from here. And I don't have an exact location for it.
Who would have an exact location for it? Where's that Kenku?
And she kind of looks at you, Loki, and goes, wow, the Kenku traveled with my aunt and fought in the Dragon War. There's only one survivor of that, and you were looking at her.
So maybe a son then? Daughter? And I start picking up her accent for some reason.
I noticed, and then you went into the Dremel accent
Daughter.
because you got uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Loki, stop with your play. I know you love accents, so just stop. We could always just ask Ashiki when Thokk gets back.
I can ask my mom.
Yes, do that one, because time is of the essence.
I mean, 2 weeks is still 2 weeks. It's not going to get any closer.
But the sooner we can do something, the better.
And so she kind of like goes over more to you, Thor, and she goes, so seeing everything, are you okay?
I don't. He kind of looks at the ceiling. I don't know if okay is a way you're allowed to feel right now. There's a lot of things that are going to happen. There's a lot of things that are unresolved. Do you know if Anya's here?
And she kind of looks. She goes, I mean, fair enough. You cut off slightly at the end for me. What did you say?
Do you know if Anya is here?
And she kind of leans back and she goes, yeah, I believe she's in her chamber.
And Thor will, he'll put his hand on Valdona's and say, I will explain more as soon as I can. But you need to trust me. And he kind of like half smiles. And
Okay.
he walks off to Anya's room, and he turns over his shoulder as he's walking, tells Loki, I'm going to find Anya. She needs to be updated. And he kind of leaves it at that.
Okay. As he walks away, I will look to Valdonna and say, I'm fine too, thanks. And then get up, take the drink with him, and then just start walking around the stronghold, trying to brainstorm and think of anything in his history or history that he knows of, or history, arcana, whatever. He's brainstorming, trying to think of anything that could be helpful going forward.
Jimmy Neutron, Brain Blast.
Brain blast of the mountain.
So you kind of get up. Go ahead and roll an intelligence check for me.
Okay, I need to move my rolly thing off the book. Okay, 17.
I mean, the real thing you keep coming back to is if you survive the incursion, Drummel's going to be important to get to the moon. It keeps just coming back, and your study of him and you becoming him, there was a bunch of stuff that was not beyond your knowledge, but it was beyond your own interest, because why would you need to know physics when you know you can just move between planes? That's not important. You have other things to worry about. So that's kind of where you keep coming back to, essentially.
Okay. And was Dremel a physicist, or did he work with chemicals?
He was like an alchemist, physicist. He was like, think like,
Polymath?
Yeah.
Okay. Then the one thing that as I'm walking around, I will kind of mutter to myself is, how do I get Dremel and Ashford together? And then that's it.
Okay. Thor, the stretch to Anya's chamber feels long, and you do feel the weight of your hammer as your hand eventually comes to the door as you knock. And after the second or third, the door opens, and Anya is looking back at that balcony. Her wings are tucked back, and you see the electricity arcing through. And she has your axe on her bed. It looks like it was just polished and sharpened. Like it looks like she was taking care of it. And she's just looking at her home during the evening. And you see the head turn. She kind of looks behind, and she continues to look forward. Her hands are behind her back.
What do you know about Enya?
And she looks over at you, and go ahead and roll that investigation check.
Please be good. It's kind of cocked, kind of not. I'm going to say it's cocked. It's still not good. 11.
It's not high. So she looks genuinely confused when you say the name, and she goes, "Should I know the name?"
I mean, it's someone who's coming here, and it's someone from our past. So I would hope that you knew something that I didn't have to go to Loki for. He loves when I ask him questions. He's a fucking know-it-all.
And she kind of looks at you and has those hard eyes and goes, "I'm assuming it didn't go well when you went back."
Not going well is a drastic understatement, granddaughter.
And she gestures towards one of the chairs as she sits down very gently.
Enya
What do you know?
is Sif's son.
Like Modi.
Like Modi, but he's not my son. And Helm didn't tell me who his father was. I don't know if he knows and is sparing me the pain, or if he just genuinely doesn't know. I also know that the Destroyer is loose on Asgard, is under the control of someone else. Tried to kill me quite a few times. And that Helm is a shell of himself. Losing Duke put him in a bad way. And that's not even half of it. So where would you like to start?
And she kind of looks at you, her brow is furrowed, and she goes, "Tell me what's coming to my city."
The biggest war you've ever seen. Fire giants are the least of your worries. Enya is one of us. Enya is one of me. He has more celestial blood in his right arm than you have in your entire body. and he's coming with a chip on his shoulder. He's also coming backed by the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
And her brow immediately furrows. And she goes, the 4 horsemen of the 4 horsemen.
Correct.
And he is working for them?
I believe they're wielding him like a puppet. It may be the shot to the ribs before the knockout.
So this is more than just Ragnarok, as she kind of gets up.
This makes Ragnarok look like a kiddie fair.
And she looks over and she says, my concern is how Ragnarok gets started, as I'm sure you're aware.
Well, it's either me or Talos. There's no wiggle room in that prophecy for Loki, as even a spell doesn't send him to Asgard, it sends him to Jotunheim. So magic does not believe him to be an Odinson, even though he is. So they either have Talos or need me. Either option is not good.
And she kind of crosses her arms and says, so this was the plan all along for them? Was this to lure you out?
I can't speak to their intentions, but I'm not going to run from a fight, especially not one at this scale. You will need all the help you can get. This will rival the Dragon Wars. This will be talked about for hundreds and thousands of years.
And she kind of goes back out and she looks back at her small town, as there is a silence around the two of you. And we will go back to the very tense dinner.
From tense moment to tense moment.
Tense moments. And so everyone has food on their plate. Thokk, you're on like your second helping, and this food is fucking good. It is like, it's almost like it's been seasoned with like happy like orphan tears that just got adopted. Like they just taste great. It just tastes good. That's the only way I can describe it.
When I finish my plate, I'm gonna see if I can like sleight of hand switch with Manu and take his plate and keep so that it looks like he's been.
Go ahead and roll a sleight of hand check there, bud.
What is your sleight of hand?
Bad. 2 left hands and he's right-handed.
15.
15. Okay. You're just kind of like, oh my god, Aegis is such cool marble. What's up there? And he's like, oh, well, the marble came, and you're like, start cutting in. You're on your like third helping.
Mm-hmm.
Tibrin also is eating, like, both of you are eating, like, the plate isn't on the table. It's in your hands, and you're just shoveling.
I'm gonna gesture to Tibrin because I'm like looking at the silverware and I was like,
And it's at that moment. Go ahead and roll a perception check.
perception.
Yeah.
Where are you? There you are. 23.
Tibrin's eating with his hands.
I just wink and keep going.
And he winks back at you. And Manu's like, so good. Really good food.
Yeah, it looks like you enjoyed it.
So good. Could I have another plate, please? And looks over at you because he knows you're gonna eat a fucking fourth plate. And Solana's like, I'm so intrigued by you, Mr. Manu. You seem to have just inhaled 3 plates of food. And Timon's like, God, it's super weird.
And I'm just giggling. It's like,
And so Aegis has been fairly, I would say, not quiet. Like when you asked him questions, it's kind of like almost like, I don't know if you've ever had a stern talking with an adult, but it seems like every kind of conversation is just like, oh yeah, and then we, Thokk's a pirate, and it turns into like a 20-minute lecture about how pirates are bad, like that kind of thing. But nothing to like the extent of like him being overly offensive. Just he has an opinion.
gotcha.
I'm not
Wow,
afraid to share
too.
the opinion. And he goes, very curious, Mr. Thokk, of your ship. And did you all
Captain.
come here? Captain. I am very curious. Did you all come through the port? I'm surprised I hadn't heard that you had been here sooner.
No, well, when you're in a profession that I'm in, you tend to be able to be a little bit more inconspicuous.
And Tibrin looks at you and then looks at Aegis and goes, we flew. And no emotion over the face as he looks back over at you, Alder.
Well, like technically more of teleported, but yeah, no. I think when we got here, we kind of arrived through the garden actually, and I think I saw Dro. I believe it was Dro, at least in the garden, working while we got here.
And
Yeah,
Joe kind of leans forward and goes, how did you get here through the garden?
Came through grandfather's tree.
You walked through the tree, you like opened the tree like a door?
I'll show you when you're older.
Your
I'm
brother's a
98
very,
years old.
very impressive individual. He impresses me every day.
I'm just gonna go stop.
Stop. You cute. And Joe goes, well, I'm kind of gifted myself. I mean, I can't walk through trees, but I can do like other things.
How so?
And he kind of looks at his plate, and you see him kind of touch his plate, and immediately it turns into vapor. As if you want to go ahead and roll an Arcana check to see what he did.
I do.
Go ahead.
Oh, Lord. -1.
He's a
mine
witch.
Mine was a straight roll, so it's an 8.
Magic exists? What? It's a 12.
And you both kind of look at him and you're like, did you char it? Like, what happened? And A just looks over and goes, could you please bring your food back? And you see Drow and he goes, plate and his food back. And
Oh, so you
Mhm.
managed it.
and Joe goes, yeah, essentially. I mean, I don't know what's on it now, but yeah, I'm just gonna get a new one. Can I get a new one of these?
And I'll just be like, you'll have to teach me that trick later. I'm curious.
That's fine. I'll take whatever on, and I'll drink this plate.
And Tiberin's like, girl, hold pick that, and you like scrape some on his plate. And Solana very gently puts a forearm on Luz and goes, Luz is also gifted in arcane arts, aren't you? And Luz immediately, being the center of any kind of attention, goes, yeah, no, it's okay, it's fine. It's not big, it's not huge. Yeah, just like it's a thing, it's little. And he immediately just starts eating again.
Oh, come on, Luz. Let it rip. What can you do?
And you see him, and he has an empty, like, water glass, and you kind of see him put his hand over it, and there is just water that just fills this glass to the top. And he goes, "There's usually more of it, but I'm able to. I've been practicing."
Very nice. Now that I recognize.
So go ahead and roll another Arcana check if you want.
16, so much better.
Yes, very much.
I'm good because I can.
Because otherwise, I'm lying out of my ass because I'm stupid.
What'd you get? Did you roll as well, Thokk?
I didn't roll. Oh,
I will give you advantage on it.
I was gonna say this is a spell I can cast, so that's why I didn't roll.
Yeah.
But that'll be 15, 16 minus 1.
You do both notify that, or see that, recognize that this is the Create Water spell, which is a cleric spell.
And I'm going to cast Control Water and just from where I am and just make it spin. So not a big one, but I want to do a little whirlpool.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you kind of see smile kind of reach his eyes, and he goes, "Oh," and Solana goes, "I didn't know you had such talented friends, Alder."
Yeah, you could say we've been around the block a few times.
And Aegis kind of puts his hands down as everyone's kind of chit-chatting, and Alder, he kind of leans in over to you, gently puts his hand on your forearm, and he goes, "So what do I owe the visit to? It's been 100 years,
Well,
and no letter, no notes."
I mean, you wanted me to go in exile. So I took exile as that.
Yes. To get your head clear. I did not expect you to arrive with your pirate friends.
I mean, I could have brought my god friends if you wanted me to, but they're a little bit busy at the moment.
And there is like no humor behind the eyes. There's no recognition. It's just like talking to a statue. As he
What's
doesn't
the
blink.
reaction of Luz and Drow when I say that, or Dro when I say that?
Let me see if Luz is paying attention, because he might be talking with Thokk. Okay. And then Dro. Luz immediately breaks eye contact with Thokk and has a worried expression on his face as he immediately looks at you two. And Dro's drops his silverware and he's like, "Got it. Nope, got it." And he also straightens up.
That was worth asking.
Yes, it was.
Well, obviously I took my time in exile. I think I've gotten a fair amount of life experience from it, but Father, I'm just going to be frank. Main reason that I'm here is I need your help.
And go ahead and roll a perception check for me. You can as well, Thokk.
Oh, I
What'd
got
you
a
get?
13.
Okay.
27.
Much better than me.
So, Thokk, you notice this. Aegis's eyebrow slightly goes up and then rests. Like, didn't bat an eye when he heard about gods, but Alder asking him for help seems to have intrigued him.
Got it.
And he goes, doesn't say anything, just waits for you to continue, Alder.
Well, I'll be completely honest. I'm still getting details right now. But basically what's happening is, I'm sure you and Mother are both very familiar with Valoria. don't know if how familiar Luz and Dro are, but as it stands, that's where we just were before we got here. The Avatar of Helm has been killed, and Valoria is currently burning to the ground. Us and some of our friends are trying to go ahead and stop that from happening. In the process of this, we've just gotten some more information, and like I said, I don't have the details yet. I'm still working on it. They said they'd rather tell us in person, so tomorrow, potentially, I'll have more information. But they have said this is much bigger than Valoria, and basically kind of insinuated that this might be the entire material plane at stake. We have a way that we can get ourselves an upper hand to try and take out whatever this is that is trying to destroy the planet. But in order to do that, we needed to speak with Ashford. Obviously, the Ashford that I knew is long gone, so we're talking to his grandson, who seems like a very, very wise, but albeit eccentric man. I don't know how much you work with him, but he's out there a little bit. He's agreed to help us get that upper hand that we need. But in order for us to do that, we essentially need to make a deal with him for potentially some access to some steel. For the sake of the planet and the plane as a whole, I wanted to see if that was something that you'd be able to assist with.
Go ahead and roll a persuasion check.
Let's see. All right. Taking bets on this, guys. What are we thinking?
9,000.
Please be good.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, modifier is a -1.
Bad start.
I'd like to
So
help.
that gives me a 16.
And he looks at you, and Dro is like right next to you. Like his head is like right by your shoulder, and he's like, what's the advantage? Aegis is like, it could be like something really, really cool, right?
Well, I mean, as crazy as it sounds, what he needs the assistance, what he's going to be helping us with, and what the steel will be needed for, is potentially for, well, not potentially, it's going to be to help us travel beyond the plane, get us into outer space, potentially and hopefully to the moon. And I'll say the reason why we're doing that is because 2 of the people that we are currently traveling with are gods that you might be familiar with, Thor and Loki. The moon is also known in their olden tongue is, I believe it's called Nidavellir. On Nidavellir, weapons can be crafted that essentially can be more powerful than anything that we can realistically craft here. If we're going to take out something of the magnitude that they are insinuating, that help will be needed. And who knows? It might end up turning into something that Ashford's going to commercialize and make it so that people can travel to the moon and live on the moon and stuff like that. He seems like that's the kind of route that he wants to go to as far as business things, but I mean, just trying to be as honest with you as I can. And I know that there are still missing parts, and as soon as I know the answers to those missing parts, you'll know too. I've learned a lot from when I was younger. Lying doesn't really get me very far. Mostly because I'm not fucking good at it. Pardon my French, mother.
And Dro kind of like leans back and he's like, whoa. And he looks over at Luz and you see him and he's like, just mouths the moon, and Luz is like, and Aegis doesn't break from looking at you, Alder, as he kind of gets up. And he goes, how much steel?
And I'm trying to remember because I know it was 20.
All of it.
Because it wasn't that he needed an open account. But it was like 20.
All of it.
It's not all of it.
He wanted
Do it.
a very long time for a resource. If you remember.
No, I'm trying to remember because I think he originally said it was like 20, essentially enough to make like 20 suits. Because he was trying to work on his own project, and that's what it was. Because he did give an exact number, and I know it was 20. I just don't. It was 20 of a measurement that he determined. Oh no, it was basically enough to make 20 of his rail cars.
As much as you can spare.
So, and I'll just kind of say, realistically, as it's going to be a lot, Father. But it's something that I know that it's a burden, and I hate that I even have to ask. You know me, I'd rather not. I'd like to try and find my way on my own. But I don't think I have a choice in this. So I'd like to try and work together on it if we can. As much as you are willing to offer, it will be very, very helpful. And as we continue to work and figure things out, and I start earning more currency, taking care of things, you know me, I've never cared much for the value of the dollar, but I'll do everything I can to put that back into the company.
And he doesn't say anything. He looks at you and he just kind of starts to walk. And Solana goes, okay, that wasn't bad. He didn't. And Luz is like, I thought he was going to actually blow. Like, did you see the vein? And Dro goes, oh.
And then I just kind of turn around and be like, I haven't seen that vein in 100 years, but it flashbacks.
Yeah. Fuck. This is heavy, man.
Craziest thing? None of it's bullshit. Like,
No, I believe you. And Dro kind of gets up. He's like, let me like talk to him. Maybe I can. Let me. And Luz kind of looks and he goes, do you need me to come? And Dro kind of goes, he has a weird soft spot for you, sure. As Luz eventually kind of goes up and he just awkwardly like looks at everyone at the table and goes, be back. And follows his brother.
I pat Dro on the back and I was like, thank you for your help. As I cast Enhance Ability, Eagle Splendor.
Okay.
To give him advantage on charisma checks, anything charisma based.
Eagle.
I'm going to try to do it as stealthy as I can, but...
Okay, go ahead and roll a sleight of hand check there. Or, you know what? Performance, because I don't know if it's performance or deception, because you're being genuine, but you're not. Let's do...
Well,
Let's
they're
just
both
do
the
sleight of
same
hand.
modifier. Oh, well, my sleight of hand was 8.
Okay. So you kind of pat him and you give him the enhance ability, and he kind of perks up and he looks at you and he goes, "You put a spell on me?"
And now you're mine.
And then I'm just gonna go ahead and flick Thokk in the head and be like, "Be nice."
And,
What? I am being nice.
And he goes,
Yeah, I know, but that was a little bit weird.
You'll be
I mean,
fine.
"I'm gonna take all the help I can get.
Sexy
Thank you."
weird.
You're welcome.
And so
I look at Timber, and if he gives me an eye, I'm just gonna be like, "What? It's helping."
Did you have to touch his ass?
I mean, it was the closest thing to me.
I was gonna say, can we keep that for another time, please?
Manu's like, "Trouble at home." He's just been quiet this whole time.
I take like a piece of the quinoa, I guess, and throw it through his head.
Through?
It's a very small
And
piece.
it just hits.
It just goes on
hits
one
the
side, comes
back
off
of
the other.
chair. And Manu looks back at it and he goes, "You're gonna have to clean that up."
Oh, Manu.
Okay.
And then I'm just gonna go walk over and pick it up.
See, you're making
And then
him
I'm-
do it in his own house. Rude. And it's at that point that Solana looks as food passes through Manu's head.
And then I'm
And-
just gonna say, I told you he was a ghost.
You were not lying about that. Yes. Oh my god. And she immediately just gets up and sits next to him.
We're
Oh,
still
but
trying
this
to figure
is-
things out right now.
Honey, this is a lot. And
Do you
Manu's
want to
just
say hi
like
to Thor
looking
and
at her.
Loki?
Gods walking among the material plane is not unheard of, but that hasn't been dead for centuries. I mean, my great grandmother saw the lost zombie. Well, figuratively speaking, I mean, this is. Ooh.
Well, at one point, we did fight off what looked to be an undead whale. So
Yeah.
we don't know what's going on, but what I'm trying to say is Dro and Luz were not wrong when they said shit's heavy. I don't know the degree of everything that we're dealing with right now. I just know that it's very bad. And I'm gonna do everything I can to keep you safe.
And she kind of looks at you and she goes, "Honey, I am terribly frightened for you now. I would feel more safe with you here."
I understand that. But as Thokk alluded to a little while ago, since you last saw me, I've done a lot of studying. Done a lot of learning, finding myself, clearing my head as Father wanted me to. I don't know that I necessarily cleared my head in the way that he would have preferred, because I think I'm much more attuned with grandfather's lifestyle. And when I do that, I'm going to cast for Flare. I'm going to cast
Flare.
I'm going to cast my Spirit Totem of the Hawk,
Mm-hmm.
just so that it kind of the hawk like illusion essentially kind of flies out of my chest, and like it essentially just kind of circles around the room and kind of just really showcases just a strong and fierce persona that I am now, and be like, obviously I still have, I'm still your Jade Sparrow, but I have a lot to offer this world, and I have a lot of people who are currently depending on me to help us get through this.
He's not
He's a-
wrong.
Frankly, Thokk's one of the ones that I've grown closest with, but I've had my differences with these people along the way. And with everything that's gone down and what we still don't even know yet, we have a lot of fight ahead of us. And there's no way that we can do it without each other.
And she kind of leans back and sighs, and it's at this point your father begins to walk back in. And he says, hands behind his back, he goes, Alder, I've decided that we will give Ashford enough to get to Nidavellir. I need to see that my investment is being spent wisely. Know that I am not going into this brashly, and if this does not work, there will be consequences. Understood?
Absolutely. And I'm going to reach out and extend a hand to my father.
And takes a moment, but his eyes narrow down to your hands, and he gently takes his out, and it's a firm one shake.
And when he does that, I'm going to power move, and I'm going to pull him in, pat him on the back, and say, thank you. It means a lot more than you know.
And he pats you very gently on the back, which physical affection from your father was not frequent, very far and in between. This could be probably like the 10th time he's like touched you affectionately. So he reciprocates and he goes, I do hope you are staying for dessert. It has been quite pleasurable to have you here. As the seat's like pulled out for him again, and he sits down, and after a few moments, Luz and Dro kind of come back, and Dro sits next to you, kind of nods and winks, and Luz puts his hands in his lap and just kind of like looks up and looks back down.
And then, obviously, just my totem is still going to be flying around when that happens. So in case that's something that kind of sparks anything in them.
And Luz is just kind of looking at the bird kind of circling around, and Dro kind of has a small smile on his face.
And I'll be like, well, I can't wait for dessert. You're absolutely right, Father. It's been excellent being here today and reconnecting with all of you and meeting my new brothers.
And they both your brothers kind of smile at you. Luz, of course, being more awkwardly, like, shy. And Solana goes, I just found out, Manu, you were just telling me, Manu is allergic to raspberries. Can you believe that? And Manu's like, yeah, they make my nose itch. It sounds lovely. I think I'm going to pass on dessert. And Solana kind of has a very nice, warm smile as she kind of looks over at you and then looks back at Aegis and sits down. And Aegis wants to hear more about you and your friends, as we will go back to let's go back to where Loki and Thor are.
I look at Manu and say, I didn't know you were allergic to raspberries, as we pan over.
And Manu goes, well, you don't ask questions about me. Maybe if you listened, you would know.
If you really cared about me.
And Luz is like, I thought you and Tibrin were in a relationship. And Manu's like, I'm the third. And it's like, what?
Thruple.
It always comes back to a thruple.
Olive oil.
Don't use the olive oil. Anyway, Story for another time in therapy. We'll go back to where Loki currently is. So Loki, you've been Winnie the Pooh thinking for like hours. So what have you been thinking, my think guy?
I have been
The
thinking of any possible way to get Dremel in contact with Ashford, because there's no way that they can work on the physics and the rocket independently. They have to know what's going on with each other. So the thoughts that I've had are the necklaces that we've been using. Who knows if they work in between the bottles? We could take Ashford to the bottle, or we could take Dremel to Falsera.
Sarah.
So those are the three options that I've got, and then after that, I just keep walking around, being like, fuck, none of this is good. And whenever I see Thor next, that's when I would relay that the three different options that I have in my head for him.
Okay. Thor, I will say, unless you have anything else to add to the conversation with Anya, it's very quiet, and she has taken your offer of staying and helping her fight into consideration. She has not really challenged it, but she also, you can tell, hasn't fully accepted it. And she has just kind of been staring off at her kind of balcony as she's been, you laid on a lot of things in a very short amount of time, within the past like 24, 48 hours. So there's a lot going on.
I will kind of put my hand on her shoulder. Look, I know this is a lot, but you need to know now, or you are going to have a city full of people, or whoever we can't get off the island, die. And that can't happen. You didn't get noticed before when the incursion initially came in with Egan, but you know now. And we need to do everything possible to fortify the stronghold and get ready for an army, a war.
And she just keeps looking, and she nods, turns and makes eye contact with you, and it's just that stern, you recognize it, it's that expression of weight that you've seen your father have before, and you've seen, you've had before, of this the super burdening, unliftable just weight. As she looks down and she looks back up at the very small looping video of her town, of her home.
I trust you to make the right decision, and I will lower my head and walk out.
Okay. Eventually you kind of come out, and it is just fucking tense, and you go in and you just see Loki is just going like up and down the hallways. He's going out and then he's coming back in. Like they're essentially, I think Josh has done this to me before. When I'm on the phone, I talk, but I pace, and then Josh has closed doors to see if I would go through the doors or stop going. So you slowly do that. Like you start closing doors, and Loki will walk past the door. You'll open a door. He'll go in the room, around the room, and then back out.
This is quite a fun game.
Game? What game? What game is fun?
I've been opening and closing doors behind you literally this entire time.
These rooms have doors. They do have doors. You've been doing that. You've been throwing off my thinking the whole... Okay. You're right. Yes. No, I'm getting in my head. Yeah, you're right. Thanks for saying it. You know, sometimes I think too hard and then I get a little frustrated. So
Loki, slow down. What are you thinking so heavily about?
we have to get Ashford and Dremel together.
Okay.
Which means either, hopefully these necklaces work, which I don't think they will, or we have to get Ashford inside a bottle, or we have to get Dremel outside a bottle, to where his factory is, Volsera, and none of these are great. None of these are what I'd like to do. What I was hoping is he would stay in there until we prevented Ragnarok, then I'd let him out, then I'd be like, oh, sorry, you were in a dream the whole time, bonk, and then he would sleep for another, 8 hours, and then he'd wake up and be like, oh, you didn't hit me, that was just a dream. So, I'm not sure what the right thing to do here is, because if we let Dremel out, then who knows, maybe he's just going to run away. If we bring Ashford in, that's probably the best one, honestly. But are we going to be able to get him in? Is the question. Is he willing to travel? He's going to need his factory. He's going to need materials, his employees. It's just becoming a clusterfuck, brother.
I mean, Dremel's going to have to come out.
Oh, yes.
We will have to reason with him.
Oh, but inside the bottle.
No.
Yes, that's where we have
outside
leverage.
Of the bottle. Brother, leverage isn't always the best option. We can try and reason with him inside the bottle, but when he gets out here, he's going to make his own decisions. He needs to be able to work on the rocket. If the rocket is being built outside of the bottle, where does he need to be? Let's connect these dots.
Inside the bottle with access to pictures of the rocket, because he's just going to use his brain and like a blackboard so he can write equations down.
What leverage do you hold? He can choose not to do it. He can choose to feed Ashford bullshit.
Well,
and then we go nowhere.
If the world ends, he dies.
He's basically dead now.
Oh no, he's just in stasis. He's frozen. He doesn't know much of a difference. What's been months for you and I is minutes for him. All that to say, his anger toward me will not be subsided.
Fair, but his anger towards me is nothing, especially being that I'm the one fighting for his release.
Yes, but I don't think you can be the one to go inside.
That's why I'm saying bring him out.
But if he's out, then we have less leverage. See how we're going in a circle here?
Loki, let him out of the fucking bottle.
I can't. Okay? You happy? I can't do it. I'm not able to get him out of the bottle because I'm not as strong as I was. I made some mistakes, brother. I am not... You know how we used to be much stronger and we could kind of run everything, and now you got your hammer back and you're strong again, and I don't have a hammer. I
thought I was the one that was weakened over time. I assume that you were still capable of doing all of the things that you have been capable of doing our entire lives.
I can do many things.
But less than before.
Yes. The sun that I mentioned in Jotunheim.
Right. Uh-huh.
The word sun I may have used loosely. The more accurate term would be a personification of all my negative traits. That took a lot of power from me. And I cannot get him out of the bottle by myself.
Okay. So who can get him out of the bottle?
That is the 1 million platinum question. I can get in, but I don't know how much I can get out past myself. Which means I can bring people in, but I don't know what I can take out.
Always withholding a little bit of information, aren't you, brother?
Oh, I can't play for all my cards. Look, from my estimations, I need someone else to release the energy. There's 2 layers in there, and the person who gets me in has to be connected, which means I need you to help me get into Dremel's bottle. But to get into the town's bottle, that's why I'm at a loss. We got 2 layers. We got 2 locks, but we got 1 key.
You don't like making things easy, do you?
Oh, I never have. Easy, so boring.
Yeah, but we were never staring down the face of the apocalypse when things were difficult before, and now we are.
Yes, well, I didn't quite know that the apocalypse was coming when this all started. That's why I've been racking my brain, running around like a mouse, trying to think of what we can do.
We can ask Creed, or that guy that knows Thokk in the very ostentatious gold armor,
Creed.
who the most powerful sorcerer, wizard, magic user they know is.
It's not just magic user. It has to be connected to me. I did the magic. But Creed might... It could be Creed. The only 2 people on this plane that I know I'm intimately tied to are you and Creed. Looks like we have to ask... Yeah.
Did I accidentally have a good idea?
I think you did. I'm quite proud of you.
I didn't even need to walk around for that. I just kind of just said it to your face.
Yeah, you could not rub it in. I was going to give you a hug, but now I'm not so sure.
That's fair. I don't really want a hug from you right now anyway.
That sucks anyway. And I go in to give him a hug. And I kind of nuzzle in his neck, just to make him as uncomfortable as possible.
And you're like, you smell it like a strawberries.
And my hand slowly goes toward his lower back.
I don't like this.
Yeah, nor do I.
Yeah. Lady in red. As you're
fade
kind
to
of
the fireplace.
Well, this ain't Bama. So as you guys kind of hug each other, before, when you've hugged each other as Dremel and Donner, there was always that familiarity and that awkwardness, but this is the first time that it isn't really there. And as you kind of like pat Loki on the back, there is a very low rumble of a shockwave that kind of goes out as you 2 kind of like did we do that? And then there's another as it starts getting much more intense and a little bit louder. As we'll go over to Falsera.
Oh my god.
Tension.
So the rest of the evening is very nice. The servants have gotten everything together. Your room, Alder, is exactly as you've left it. And on the post is immediately Aya, who swoops in, lands immediately on your shoulder and nuzzles into your neck.
That's probably, for me, like one of the warmest feelings is her coming back. So I'm gonna take her off the shoulder and just hug her in general.
Yeah, as you do, and you hear your mom kind of smile, and she goes, "It was very nice seeing this one. She has grown quite tremendously from when I sent you those eggs so long ago. It seems like."
Yeah, she's very healthy.
And she smiles, and I can see that. And She says in Elvish, essentially, it's good to have you home. It's nice to see you home.
And then I back in Elvish, and I said, "It's good to be here too." And I will follow it with, "I apologize that it won't be as long as you would hope." But this time it's less of a goodbye and more of a, "I will see you soon."
Eh.
She smiles and she goes,
You're not here.
"Shut up! Hug your dumb brother."
Yeah, go do it with him or whatever.
Weirds. I don't know what gods do.
Yeah, you and your olive oil.
Stop. I'll remember that.
That doesn't give me PTSD.
Roll 3d6.
Anyway, the rest of the evening, as I've stated, is quite quiet. Thokk, you and Tiburon have your own room. There has been a bed and a room made for Manu, who he does go in it. And if anyone were to go in and check on him at any point in the evening, it would just kind of be him, like his arms crossed, standing next to the bed, just staring at the bed.
So, question.
Answer.
I am aware about trying to find a location for the Great Library or Bayou, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So while Tiburn and I are finally alone in our room, I'm gonna try something. Never tried this before, but let's see how this goes. Just keep an eye on my body to make sure nothing happens to me.
What?
It's only gonna be about 10 minutes, but just trust me.
And he kind of sits across from you and he goes, "Okay."
So I'm gonna take the 4 pieces of ivory strips that I purchased, and I'm gonna put them north, south, east, and west from my body.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna take the incense, put it in front of me, light it, cross my legs, put eclipse on my lap, put my hands on eclipse, close my eyes and focus, and I'm gonna cast Legend Lore.
Okay.
And
Give me some deets on Legend Lore.
so Legend Lore. Name or describe a person, place, or object. The spell brings to your mind a brief summary of the significant lore about the thing you have named. The lore might consist of current tales, forgotten stories, or even secret lore that has never been widely known. If the thing that you named isn't of legendary importance, you gain no information.
Mm-hmm.
The more information you already have about the thing, the more precise and detailed information you receive. It's a level 5 divination spell.
Okay. So we know that there is a grand library of Ioun somewhere, and I'm trying to remember what you know about it.
I think the only things that I know is that the last avatar of Pelor is guarding it.
Mm-hmm.
Tristan, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
But I don't think I know much more personally as Thokk.
Okay. So as you kind of like your eyes go white and Tiburon gently kind of like lays your back against the headboard of the bed, you are immediately shot like miles to this massive tower that is engraved with different ivories and stone. It looks like it's in the middle of this thick forest that when you get closer to the tower, it feels like it's almost humid in nature, brackish, if I can describe that. And as you kind of go in, you don't see a door, but you place your hand on top of the stone. It's almost like you've been here before. You know what to look for. And as you touch the stone, it parts. And inside you see just rows and rows of just scrolls. And this is think of like the war tower that I've used. It's this massive, it's got to at least be 11 to 12 stories tall of just books. And as you kind of go in, there is a very small desk and table with a little sign-in, it looks like. And you do see that there is a very short, they're like maybe like 4 foot nothing. You see a very long beak and a hood kind of put up as you see scrolls are being put away. And you kind of tap and you turn around and there is a Kenku in front of you. And he goes, "Hello, my name is Tristan Windsound, and this is the Great Library." I'm doing what I want with legend lore. You can talk to Tristan. I don't give a
God.
Just give a heck.
I don't give a
Hi.
flick heck.
Tristan, my name is Captain Thokk Morninglight. I am a cleric of Pelor.
My name is Captain Thokk Morninglight. I'm a cleric of Pelor. And he immediately just repeats what you've said in like perfect clarity.
Okay. Do you know the exact location of where you currently are? Yes or no?
And you hear a very familiar voice say yes. And it sounds like, go ahead and roll a perception check for me. I'll give it to you. This could be fun for me.
19.
It sounds like Queen Anya's voice. A lot younger, but you hear, yes.
All right. Would you be able to tell me where you are?
And looks at you and kind of starts putting more scrolls away, and you just hear very gruff voice go, "Well, I'm from the Salt Marsh, or the Rust Marsh, and the Rust Marsh is just right over the swamp, Tristan."
The Rust Marsh.
And he looks back over at you.
Great. How
Great.
far is that from Valoria?
And this big booming voice kind of comes out. It's almost like louder than when you met the Storm Giant, and goes, "The mighty kingdom of Valoria welcomes you." And Tristan kind of like thinks and looks. "Can't be more than a few weeks out."
All right. Sorry, I'm writing stuff down.
You're allowed to write stuff. It's fine. God, Carlos.
I
Write down stuff.
know. It's almost like D&D's about like the story. Shit, I didn't expect the spell to work like this. I thought you were dead. Are you not?
And he kind of furrows his brow and he goes, "Wow, Tristan, this is the 3rd time you've died."
So you can't die.
And he kind of looks at you confused. "Wow, Tristan, this is the 3rd time you've died."
Would you like to be relieved of your post someday?
And he kind of looks over and another voice comes out and goes, "It's only when an avatar of Pelor comes in and accepts the duty of the Grand Library that the other one may..."
All right. Since you're on subject, how does one become an avatar of Pelor?
And he looks at you and he just simply says, "I'm Tristan Windsound. I'm an emissary of peace."
Thank you, Tristan. I hope we can meet in person someday. And I'll.
"Wow, Tristan, you've died 3 times."
It was nice to meet you. And I'll let this spell fade me back.
You fade back and Tiburon immediately goes, "Who the fuck is Tristan?"
Huh?
What the fuck? No, just kidding. He goes. He just kind of looks at you confused.
That worked. All right.
I don't understand what happened.
I have an idea where the Library of Ioun is.
Okay, didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, it's something that we kind of need. Hold on, and I tap the necklace, and literally I say the exact same thing. I have an idea where the Library of Ioun is.
Okay. And as you kind of reach that out, Loki, Thor, you guys are outside. The rumbles and the tremors have gotten bigger and have gotten worse. And you do hear, as both of you are looking out into the distance, you do hear Thokk saying, you have an idea of where the library is, but you are not listening because you see a massive arcane gate that is opening of just amber and fire as you see the first fire giant walk out. And we'll end it there.
Fuck!
Nah. That's what I have to say.
Shoot, dude.
Well,
Oh,
Yep, shit's going down.
Bonesaw is ready.
Got you for that
3 minutes.
3 minutes of playtime.
What are you doing up there? Staying away from you.
Well, next episode is gonna be crazy.
It's gonna be a big one.
Guys,
Previously on Dragon Ball Z.
thank you for previously on Dragon Ball Z. Thank you guys so much for watching another episode of Dungeons and Dragons and Junk Drawer.
Ding.
Please tune in because we're about to get into war times. It's gonna get nuts. Yeah, so just do us a favor and follow our channel. Subscribe possibly as well, maybe if you want to, but I would like that. Follow us on the YouTubes and follow our social media like Mike Spillane said. You can go to thejunkdrawershow.com and that will take you to our link tree. Josh, do you want to read some names?
Well, heck yes, I do.
Oh, sick.
Boy, would I.
I'm trying to keep that youth pastor energy going on. What's
Oh,
up?
it's so good.
Thanks, guys. Okay, so first off, I'd like to thank our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for being in the stream tonight.
Because he's all around us.
He's
Don't
always
you know?
here. He's in all of our hearts.
You guys heard of this really cool band called Flyleaf?
Were they a Christian band?
Listen to the lyrics of All Around Me and
Well,
tell me.
I never listened to the band, period. I just never thought of them as Christian. Anyway,
Well, that's where
so
you're
the
wrong.
numbers, the people in the chat. Big old thank you to Big Cortana, Commander Root, Community for Small Streamers, Dame Butterscotch the Grey, Discord for Streamers, Droop Dog with many G's, FTO Payer, Ice Wizards, Spars 324, Streamers Area, Maka the DM for following us, Kezi1985 for following us, Mike for subscribing again, thank you. Devlin07, I know you were in here. Gandalf the Babe, thank you as well. And I think I covered everyone, but our list is getting long.
Rep RPG was here, so Random
Oh,
Encounters
yeah.
dropped by and
Well.
said hi.
Yeah, thank you, Random Encounters. We love you guys. That was awesome.
So you're gonna get a lot of you up tweets, so
You
get
up?
ready for that.
Guys, thank you so much, like I said,
You
for
up?
watching.
What are
We
you doing?
appreciate it.
What are you wearing?
Don't forget to wear your mask, get your fucking vaccine, and we will see you guys all back here next time.
So long.
Farewell.
To you, my
Avita
friend.
saying.
goodbye.
Shut up.